express my gratitude to our guest, architect P.K. Vijayaraghavan sir, also known as architect Vivek, to accept our invitation. He is a founding partner of Sajid and Vivek Architects, Chennai. Now, I would like to invite architect Vivek sir to enlighten us with his vast experience and knowledge in the field of architecture. Over to you, sir.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, I'd like to introduce myself, Architect Vivek.
Okay, sir.
I'm based out of Chennai and a partner to a firm which has over 25 years of experience. And uh, we are also graduates from Manipal Institute of Technology, graduated in the year 1991. We have quite a good amount of years of experience behind us, and I'd like to thank the Berry School of Architecture to invite me to give a small address to the students of the college. I'm going to talk about a project which is completed in a place called Saligrama, which is pretty close to to Mangalore itself. So the idea here is to basically I wanted to kind of share my work experience, to the architecture students, and I was planning to take this project as a kind of an example to make the students understand how to design to arrive at a design, how to take up a design. So the project basically is called SHRF, which is nothing but a Sarva Shema Hospital and Research Foundation, and it's a complex built over an area of around 11 acres of property. So the client is one Mr. Dr. Vivek, who's got his MD in yoga and rehabilitation, and he was desirous of building a kind of a healing center, which would probably embodies the philosophical teachings of Dr. Vivekananda, and also the yoga to be inducted into the program. So the basic idea was to kind of support people on lifestyle management, pain management, stress management, some kind of counseling. See, these are things that are very much in need these days. The thing about in a society, there's a forever change in the needs, needs of a society, and there are so many activities that kind of link to these needs. And when we are approached as architects to address this issue in terms of spatial planning, it's a bit of a challenge, but at the same time, it's a very interesting thing to get involved in. So this project is one such project, which was, according to me, a very interesting project. And I would like to try and share with you my overall experience on this project. And en route, I would like you, students of architecture, to try and understand what is important at the planning stage, what is very, very important in the planning stage, and how what you visualize turns into reality. So we will proceed onto this project in this manner. So I'll start with a video of the introductory video to this project. So I will just turn my camera off because it probably the relay gets better when my camera is off.
Sure, sir.
Is the screen visible to all?
Yes, sir. It's visible.
Yes, sir.
Uh, just one thing. I think if everyone is to switch off their cameras, probably the feed gets better. Just a suggestion.
Sure, sir. Sure.
where the profound silence becomes the greatest eloquence, where the prayers pave a path to perfect salvation, where the soul within blends with the cosmic power. There, a divinity shines that cures and heals. Welcome to experience the power of meditation and yoga combined with spirituality. Divine Park, Sarvakshema Hospital and Research Foundation at Saligrama. Sarvakshema Hospital and Research Foundation is located in 11.4 acres of land amidst the serene environment, overflowing with the melody of nature. The entire area speaks of greenery and is preserved as nature holds it. Eco-friendly ponds along with step seating facility, flower beds, shaded trees with benches underneath, reflexology walkways, all together enhance tranquil ambience. A large area is given to the cultivation of herbal garden with a variety of medicinal plants. Centered by a huge lotus, the hospital complex is unique in its design and layout, around which the yoga studio, meditation block, naturopathy treatment block for both male and female, dining hall and consultation block stand connected. Behind these, the facility of deluxe rooms and cottages, inpatient and outpatient block, Tulasi block, research block are arranged. A wide area is kept apart for sacred rituals and gatherings. The holy abode of Guruji is also within the premises to assure his blessings, and VIP cottages nearby. The hospital is wholly constructed using granite, laterite stones, bamboo and other materials direct from the nature. A stone statue of 35 feet high of Swami Vivekananda stands in the center to welcome. The lotus flower, with its petals and steps around, is an appealing architectural magnificence. Indeed, a fine place to rest and relax. Traditional charm is retained at all places with stone pillars, bamboo and tile roof, and well-connected corridors. Internal pathways are retained as walking and cycling track, giving an easy access to all areas. A calm and comfortable meditation hall. The facility of swimming pool with clear water, a multi-purpose hall, and full-fledged yoga studio are provided. Sarvakshema Hospital and Research Foundation, a touch of healing from nature.
Hello, sir. Please unmute yourself. Your voice is not coming.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, basically, I have just presented this video to you all so that I want basically the students of architecture to notice that after all this detailed discussions and taking out the requirements from the client, we came up with this kind of design concept. Um, uh, at the onset, we were very clear that since this was to be a healing center, we didn't want this design of ours or the building to in any way kind of feel like a hospital environment because uh, like the saying goes, the magic pill is always your mind. So um, we were thinking that the building should not bring about a sense of feeling that a person coming there should feel like someone who's coming for some kind of a treatment. So we wanted to, make sure that our design remains as simple as possible and as close as possible to nature, and try to, exploit the available resources of the site to the best. So we moved in that direction. That's why you would notice we've used laterite, granite, because these are all kind of locally available materials. And mangrove tiles, as the name says, is kind of an origin from mangrove itself. So taking all the local materials and labor available, we decided on this kind of a theme to or a material palette for this project. So that's how we embarked onto this design program. So as a part of the program, I had to work closely with architect Ravi Kumar, who's also a landscape architect, because I need a lot of help on that front to kind of understand the site in terms of its vegetation and certain conditions of the site. So we started working as a team on this. Um, so this is basically what we ended up presenting to the client. So a lot of visualization should go into the process by the students of architecture before digitizing the presentation. This is a very important thing because I would like to stress on the fact that architects should definitely get into using other medias of developing the design rather than strongly at the word go itself being dependent on Revit and all the other kind of Rhino softwares and all that. I think in a way that kind of reduces your creative ability. So I think it's always nice to probably use the media of pencil and paper or pen and paper and get your thoughts onto that piece of paper, and then let the design evolve into your digital presentation. I'm sure the outcome will be much more better, and that kind of prepares you better as an architect for the different kinds of projects that you will be put forth to design in your future. So that's a very important thing that I like to ask the students of architecture to, try and please hone that skill. That's very important. All of you have it, just hone it and don't let go of it. So what I'm going to do next is basically would like to present, yeah,
Sir, sorry for interruption in between. Please
yeah.
turn on your camera. You are not visible.
Do you want me to be visible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, fine, sure. Just a second. Yeah, am I visible?
Yes,
Can
sir.
you
You
see
are
me? Yeah, yeah, right. Now I'm going to now go into the design development and concept and development. So I'm just going to basically run through the entire program as to how we went about designing this building. So is the screen visible?
No, sir.
Okay, just a second. I have to wait 1 minute. Just a little bit. Just need some time. I'll just try to sort it out.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, one second. I have to stop. I have to go to a window. Yeah, right. Share. Is it visible now?
Yes, sir. Now it's visible.
Good. Okay. All right. Now what we're moving into is basically uh, my first site visit. Okay. And if you look at the drawing, the green rendered patches basically show the segments of the site. So it's a overall 11-acre property. So I'm just trying to kind of show you how we have documented certain features of the site. This is a very important part of a design process, is to understand the site, because it's a huge site and there's so many things that you need to take into consideration. You need to take into consideration the existing vegetation, the surrounding developments, the topography of the site, water bodies available, very important thing and very critical things of such huge site is the water management of the property. So we went about and we kind of took pictures of the existing site, and I'm just sharing with you what we have observed. So you see the kind of walkways that is existing, some kind of trails that are existing. And when we came to the site, if you notice this first extended portion, which is roughly around 3.5 acres, we were very clear that there would be no development in that portion, because we wanted that a feel of we're coming in through a healing garden. So we always conceptualize to have some non-constructed area and treat it as like kind of a healing garden space. So we were very clear at the beginning, so because it gave very good feel and an approach to the overall complex. So subsequently, when you go to the rear portion of the site gets a little bit more bigger. So we thought that's the area where the development should happen. So certain decisions started, forming in our heads. So now this is more to the central portion of the site, where you can notice there are some existing trees, some wells, and they have a sarpa mandapa and some good trees, overall. And more or less, we found that this was the area of the site which had a relatively flat terrain. So, it was easier to do your development onto this flat terrain rather than trying to work on slopes, which will probably get very extensive on your foundation works and things like that. But this overall, the site, this looked as the most ideal or the plum area to, put forth your structure. As we move to the rear portion, again, we noticed that there was some, rainwater, natural drains in around the property. So we knew that these things have to be revived. They have to be recharged. We had 3 water bodies, which we knew that which we were clear that we will definitely recharge and try to improve or create catchment areas for the water. Some existing structures, because there's one thing that if you see, look at the bottom of your screen, you see something mentioned as the Homakunda. That's basically on the first of every year, they have a huge gathering where we're talking about close to 5,000 people congregating. And this has been going on for the last, maybe a couple of decades. So it's a very, very important part that this has to be continued. So we had to keep this in mind also. Some of the vegetation analysis by a landscape architect. Okay, so now what we did is we, before I go into the slide, probably wait, what we want to do is basically now to, you may understand what is the context based on which you are planning to design. So the context here is nothing else but the fact that the client was very clear that he wanted a center which had the teachings of Vivekananda imbibed with yoga practices and training. So it was very clear that the context would be with respect to Vivekananda and his teachings and his outlook on life. So we kind of centered our thought process onto the design on Vivekananda, and then try to arrive at some kind of a concept. So now to get into a concept, what we thought, we just did a little bit of reading, and we just tried to understand what in nature can probably, kind of is some kind of emblematic to have faith or to believe in yourself, or to live an unwavering faith, to live a better life. These kind of things we were thinking. So it kind of dawned upon us that why don't we look at the lotus form, which was quite popular also amongst Buddhism, Hinduism, and many other areas. So we thought, why don't we try to use the emblematic form of a lotus and try to arrive at some kind of design concepts. So that's where I'll show you the next slide, where we try to work at two options. Now, if you look at this overall site plan, you notice that the first entire length of the approach, like I said earlier, was for us definitely a no-build zone. We didn't want to build there for the simple reason that we wanted to give the healing or the experience garden and create a very strong access. And we thought that we'll have a lotus pond as the focal point as you enter. And beyond that would be the entire complex. So you'll be welcomed by a focal point, and then you have a kind of a complex right behind. And along the same axis would be a statue of Vivekananda somewhere along the center of the site. And we would have walkways, galleries, your consultation blocks, treatment blocks, and accommodation blocks, dining facilities. All that is required for the running of the Sealing Center. So we did also consider towards the northeast corner of the property a huge open ground where they could still keep continuing to have their home. And the site was sloping right from your west to the east, and it had a perfect exit point for the water in the northeast corner, which was going into a irrigation kind of canal. So we're very sure that will be recharged and will be kept alive. So this was one kind of a thought process that we had, and then we just kind of moved on to some kind of a visual ideation of this, and then started to arrive at some kind of massing study. So here, if you notice, this is not completely done, but we were in the process midway. So we were just if you look at that, try to highlight some kind of a water body with a lotus engraved onto the slab of stone, and then behind that was the complex, which would have its slope tiled blocks, and we had a nice ramp kind of a thing, like a beautiful walkway which would take you up to a 6-meter high platform, where at the center of which we wanted to have the statue of Vivekananda. So that would be a raised podium at the center, and then again you would probably walk down backwards into the ground level at the rear side. So, and the idea was to kind of have a complex developed in around this central plaza in a very elliptical manner. So this was one of the ideations that we had. So some kind of sketches, and then developed into 3-dimensional renders to give a feel of the space. And then that was the first question. Now, first concept. Now, this is the second option that we worked on. It's more or less on the same concept, where we have the first area of the site not developed, and then we create a strong access point slightly pushed in. And here what we did is we basically created 8 quadrants, radiating out into concentric circles. And we thought in those 8 quadrants we would provide the activities. So here also what we did was at the center of this, there was a kind of a water body with a statue of Vivekananda, and then we had our complexes around it. So here we had a concept of phase one development and phase two development. The phase one would be the inner ring development, and phase two would be the outer ring development. The rest of the things are more or less similar in terms of keeping the northeast open for the homum and letting the water exit. So we were thinking of swales all around the property. So the water will be carried from the entire site to the northeast corner. So then we had ideas of services, everything integrated. So as you go further, you notice that just to give you an idea of, we felt this was a better option. So we started looking more deeper and deeper into this. So this is just an enlarged view of the central complex, where you're seeing the two concentric circles, which are basically driveways and pedestrian walkways. Now, basically the pedestrian walkways, but wide enough for a vehicular drive in case of any emergencies or things like that. So we have them to a width of 6 to 9 meters. So you see the central core, and then you have the water body in the center, and you have all these building complexes overlooking the central core. So here we also kind of struck a good thought process where we felt that, his philosophy and teachings are always that, you need to try and understand yourself from within, because the saying goes that if you talk to yourself, you realize that you have a very interesting person inside of you. So, so then we thought that this kind of a concept is allowing us, or making the buildings kind of look inward. So that is what it starts everything from within you. So we thought that this was giving a better feel of a central core and looking inward kind of concept. So we were really getting kicked up on this concept, and we went forward on this actually. So just showing you how phase one could be done, because projects of this scale obviously will end up having different phases to do the development because of various reasons. One could be the initial start may not have much of customers and even your funds. You need to have the funds in place. So they wanted to start small and then grow bigger. So future expansion is always important. So if you notice here, you see the 6 meter wide roads which connect the two inner and outer ring, which are basically pedestrian walkways. Now, one important thing about this project was the client also gave us a daily routine as to how a person should start his day to how he would end his day. So we had a time-wise schedule starting from 5:30 in the morning to 9 in the evening. As to they would be organized in such a way they're kind of trying to set a kind of a regiment in your life, So because that will obviously improve your health. So that's a very important part of their program here. So these kind of concentric walkways always made it good for them to have their walking. So they have some kind of a calculation where you need to walk a minimum of 9,000 steps or 10,000 steps, which is good for your health in a day. So these kind of concentric circles also, gave us that design to be provided, that requirement to be provided actually. So just showing you how the entire thing would happen in phase two. Just a kind of a comparison here. Basically not much different, but just that we have connecting corridors and walkways in between the blocks. So we have kind of a stellar form in the center, but then on the outer sides, you have a circular form. Some kind of Google SketchUp renders. So what happens is if I were to go back a little bit, what happens in this kind of a design is it's so nice that there are so much open vista points between these buildings. Like you never feel that you are walking between dense structures. There's so much of openness between these buildings. You have connecting walkways, you have landscape patches, you have water bodies, and you get a beautiful view towards the central focal point from many locations. So you really get to enjoy the central core from all around. So this is one good thing to this kind of a design. some views between the structures, a little bit of the stellar seating, central plaza. We have the Vivekananda, we wanted some lotus flowers, a lot of other flowers, flower beds. It becomes a very interactive space for discourses. I hope I'm not moving the slides too fast. Are you able to see?
Yes, sir. It's
Hello?
visible properly.
Yeah, but am I moving too fast? Is the slides moving too fast?
No, sir. I think
Okay.
it's all right.
Okay. An overall aerial view of the complex.
Yeah.
So I want you to understand this is all conceptualization, please. This is a part of the conceptualization. So I want you to understand this has not become concrete as yet. Okay. What I showed you the video earlier was something that became concrete. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to walk you all backwards. So I'm trying to show you the walkthrough was something that we kind of decided what we wanted, but this is what was prior to that. How did we get to the walkthrough is what I'm trying to share. So this is all before the walkthrough happened and the design was selected. That's why I'm seeing option one, option two. This shows the entire site. Now this is very important. Uh, this is something that I like to kind of want the students to understand. Here I'm just going to try and focus more onto activities on the site, okay, which is very, very important for a project of this nature or for a fact for any project. If you get yourself involved in site, it's very nice because you can see how the product turns out, you know. Basically, this is going to show you a bit of the construction drawings, so you can understand the construction areas, showing you the building plans and things like that. Central core, so phase one was taken up. The central core area was to be totally developed, and we had two meditation halls, we had a research block, we had a big auditorium and a dining block. We had we had proposed the outpatient and office block and an accommodation block. So initially they did not want to go up for the entire built up area. So as of now, phase one development is at 60,000 square feet. So it's good to know there's a lot of places for future expansion. So all these vacant grids were basically, we have requested them to treat them as nurseries because you need a lot of vegetation to be done around this property. So they will be treated as nurseries for the moment. So by the time you can replant them and, you know, move it to your respective areas. So this is a suggestion given to them. Just showing you a little bit more closer view of the complex. Do you see my cursor actually? No.
Yes, sir. It's visible. The cursor is visible.
Yeah, so this is the administration and the outpatient block. So we created a kind of a grand imposing entrance here. And then through here, you come in to the central core complex, at the center of which we have these stellar seating, water body, and Vivekananda statue. So here we decided that we'll try to put up a statue of Vivekananda, which is almost 30 feet high. So that would be the main focal point of the design. And if you come into the inner circle, we have to the left and to the right immediately, we have the meditational blocks. Then to the left, as you go in a clockwise direction, we have the research and treatment block. The long elongated block towards northeast is the auditorium block. Then further down is the dining block. And behind the dining block is the accommodation block. So we have around 75 bed accommodation block provided here. So this is what I'd like to. This is very interesting. This is, I think, a very important part to the entire project, according to me, because you know I am also new or to doing a work in Karnataka, especially towards Manipal, Udupi, Saligrama. Okay, so there's a lot of these materials available, and I was really excited to try out laterite, granite, you know, tile roofs. Yes, we've used a lot. So the thing is to understand the workmanship of the local laborers. What kind of skilled laborers are available, and this was a mock-up building that we did. This, I think, according to me, this was a very good thing to do, and I think it's a very sensible thing to do also, because when you have a lot of repetition, when there is a repetition of design, it's I suggest that we try and do mock-ups, and understand whether the proportion, everything looks right, the joinery, the fixing, try to understand everything before multiplying it. So this was an exercise where we took up this kind of a watch post kind of a thing, so we tried this out, and then I brought in these granite columns, laterite stones, started plastering details, arches, to construct the arches of laterite. Then we used steel truss roof for the Mangalore tile, so I wanted that to be done. And see, the good thing about this is, if you do this, I realized one thing. Yeah, all your other consultants, like your plumbing, electrical, structural, PMC, all these people get a feel of what you're looking at. You understand? Otherwise, if it's all on paper, they just are blindly doing something, and they kind of object. They don't go with you, don't agree with you what you're looking at. They'll say, no, that's not available, you can't do it. They find so many reasons not to go there. They don't want to come outside the comfort zone. Surprisingly, these were things that are done many years ago, but today, if you look at it, these are things which are getting more and more difficult to do. So, but then somehow by doing this exercise, I kind of was able to clearly drive in a message to all the consultants and the client. This is the look and feel that I'm looking at. So we started comparing the size of a laterite stone with the granite pillar that they did as a sample. We reduced the sizes to the width of a laterite stone. We felt this was too bulky. The mock-up done was too bulky. And we wanted to also explore the concept of using bricks as a kind of lures to funnel in the northeast and southwesterly winds. And at the same time, these kind of vertical fins would act as your normal security grills, which would be provided into the room. So we wanted to avoid the normal metal grills, and we thought that these fins by themselves will act as security grills to all the spaces. So we made sure that the north and east facade of the buildings had the louvers focused in that direction, whereas the southwest sides had the louvers focused in the other opposite directions. It was all looked into. So this became an interesting element of our design. So we tried with laterite, and then we took up with bricks. Ultimately, we ended up doing it with bricks. But we had a lot of problems with this because everyone doesn't, this seems to be taking a lot of effort. So they don't want to go there. The contractors don't want to go there. We thought of using these old concepts of granite lintels. We got a mock-up of that done. Parapet walls, didn't want it to go end to end, so I thought probably if we can give a small gap. Plastering bands, granite copings. And this is how the project started. So when we broke ground, and then we started moving forward. So if you notice, everyone is involved. We had some drone shots showing how the work progressed, and today it's very nice that you get these kind of drone options, to really monitor and understand how your project is shaping up. This is one great thing that's happening today, is being able to use the drone to capture a lot of imageries. They're able to monitor the construction activities very well this way. Showing you some. Okay, now since we had to do phase one, and the phase one was the inner circle, it was very clear that we had to put up the statue in the same time as doing the inner ring structure. So we started putting up the statue also, because we can't bring in the statue or do the statue at a later date. It's going to be very difficult. normal. Uh, the soil was pretty good, so we didn't have to go for any kind of deep foundations. And then we had plinth beams, laterite masonries on top. Now, coming to the laterite stones, the contractor came back to us saying that it has become very expensive, and if you want the best quality laterite stone, it's going to cost you so much per block. Then I said, we are not looking at the best quality laterite stone. Why don't you just give me, uh, something? According to them, the laterite stones which are freshly cut from the ground are more expensive than the laterite stones which are already cut from above and kept aside. I said, I'm good with those stones just above. And somehow I went ahead with the idea of doing laterite because the contractor and everyone was coming back saying, you're going to have problem with fungus, you're going to have problem with that. And they were trying to uh, make me reconsider the idea of using laterite, but I was kind of hell-bent that I wanted to use it. Now, their concern was the rainwater lashing against the walls and, you know, fungal growths onto the wall surfaces. So then, what we decided was, subsequently, you'll understand, we decided to plaster the walls from the ground up to almost 4 feet in height, and we changed our overhangs from normal 2 feet to 3 feet in length. So we just changed a little bit of the standards to see that, to make this workable. And I think it's come out fairly good actually by doing that. Yep, some of the activities. What you're seeing at the bottom are the research block and the uh, treatment block, and we have created some internal courtyards to the space. That's what you see with the curved walls at the ends. It's basically just a kind of a wall to separate the outside from the inside. So we created some kind of landscape courtyards into the treatment blocks. And to the extreme left, what you're seeing is the auditorium block coming up. And to the right are the two meditational blocks. And right on top to the rear is your accommodation block. Just showing the statue coming up. Here, this is when they did the brick louvers. You see the brick louvers. This is what they did as a mock-up for me to give approval on. It was a little time consuming, but then I think I wanted to avoid the normal grills at all cost. And at the same time, this allows me to give a little bit of privacy into the rooms. And then we have plastered the wall to the bottom 4 feet height. I think, yeah, this is something that I wanted to share with respect to the site activities. So it was a very good experience with the rest of the consultants. But initially, I had to, kind of convince them as to what kind of look and feel I was looking at, and I didn't want it to be diluted during the course of the project. So that's why initially I had to do a few mock-ups and kind of see to it that things are done the way I wanted it to be. Um, I'll just share you one more video.
Sure, sir.
Uh, this is something that I've just tried to compile with the pictures that I've had, and this facility got inaugurated somewhere around February, and then after that, when COVID struck, we were not in a position to go there and try and kind of document the project with better pictures. But whatever I had, I just want to share something to you all of you so that you get a feel of the project. Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Visible. Hello, sir. Please unmute yourself. Your voice is not coming.
Oh yeah, I'm so sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Before before ending the presentation, there's something that I'd like to reach out to the students of architecture. Um, See, there's a lot of it. There's a lot. What should I say? A lot of it depends on how you see things and how you reciprocate to things. So, there are certain things that you should make it as a part of your learning is to carefully listen to people and it's very important to listen to people, and then also how do you increase your motivation. You move around with people who motivate you in this line of work, and always come out of your comfort zone. Stop seeing architecture or trying to learn architecture by within the confined four walls. Come outside, go outside, travel. It's very important. Use Carry your sketchbook. Sketch those small sketches. They don't have to be good sketches, but every sketch that you draw, you've learned something more and you will never forget it. It's so important that that you do something like this, and stop being too critical. I mean, I've heard so many stories, and people say that architects are conceited, architects think no end of themselves. There are these clients who go around saying that. Well, there is some level of people who tend to be conceited, but don't be conceited. Have a lot of empathy. Look at things, try to be understanding. And always have constructive feedback on conversations. It's all about how you are looked upon, how you are seen as an individual, as an architect. Uh, People and the clients, whoever it is, should feel comfortable with you. So even, for example, the students should kind of look at the good side of it. Understood to you. At the same time, also try and don't stay in the will of architecture. So much more that you can learn from other departments. Also, not say I'll just design the window. Understand services is very important. So I think that's how you should look at things the way forward from now. I guess that's what I have to say. And thank you everyone for your time and letting me share some experience to you people.
Thank you very much, sir, for sharing your experience with us. The presentation was very interesting and it
Yeah.
highlighted many important point of design process. And I hope it will help our students in their studies and all the participant as well. Now, I would like to invite our principal, architect Ashok Mendonca, sir. Uh,
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
yes, sir. Sir, please say some word.
Yeah,
Over to you.
thank you, Hamid, for running this. Um, at the outset, I should thank Vivek for without any hesitation, agreeing to spend some time with the students. Taking almost 3 days off from his busy schedule is I know how demanding it is. I but I really at the outset I need to thank him for doing this, and this was done with an intention. Sometime back, I had some third semester students call me up and say, "Sir, we need some help with understanding concepts and how the concepts translate into form." Um, yeah, there's some problem with my camera. My camera is not coming on. I have a problem, so. I think I'll have to settle with the audio itself. And so, therefore, I thought, when this jury came up and we wanted an external person, how it would be a great thing if a practicing architect runs us through the project as a design process from the untouched site to a completed project, and runs us through how that small basic idea of the site and a combination of the client's brief actually translates into a real finished product. And because all the time in the classrooms, it's like, especially with the lack of experience, we get disillusioned. Oh, whatever we do actually remains on paper only. So year after year and semester after semester. So therefore, we thought this would be a good strategy that every external jury like this, we will invite different architects to have different to share their different perspectives as to how to start, how they conceptualize things, how that translates into what it actually is finally on the site. So so that's why this whole the addition of this insertion of design process is primarily that. Secondly, a lot of students of this batch also happen to be from a state which is very familiar to Vivek. Vivek hails from Thrissur, if I'm not mistaken, and his partner hails from Calicut. So and they've gone through the process we as students. And they have grown up, into a really kind of highly respected practice in the city of Chennai. The growth has been phenomenal, and they are doing a clean, ethical practice, which is very, very difficult to, which is a challenge to run. And in that, as Vivek rightly said, you don't need to be seen as a conceited, proud architect. Here is a man of, he is a humble person. So is his partner. His partner, of course, was a junior at the college, but they've grown into a fine practice. And in witnessing other people go through the motions and develop into a fine practice is a lesson itself for all of us. It's not that the good boys never win. No, it never is never that. I think Satyamev Jayate, truth will always prevail. So always be focused, be disciplined, watch other people, respect what they do, and eventually you see that your hard work will not be lost. It will be rewarded eventually. I did have very close interactions with them professionally too. When they encouraged me to take up, associate myself with some of their projects in Chennai, and that's how I set foot in a place Chennai, which others have probably never ventured into. As of now, there is still one work which is pending to be closed after, I think, 2006 onwards. Been involved in that area. And I got to see them very closely, and the way they function is really, meticulous, passionate, and as I said earlier, clean ethical practice, which is something that is that needs to be admired. They have a lot of feathers in their cap, which I think is best that comes from their own mouth, including probably the tallest building in Tamil Nadu state. And they've got a wide portfolio. What you saw right now was something on a traditional lines. They do contemporary work. They do have a variety of genre of work, which I think if you get an opportunity and you would like to train under them, probably you can look at them as a office for your practical training in the days to come. So I think you got 2 more days of this session, and the reason why I requested that he runs this program is that you also know the depth of their work. When they come to judge you or they come to guide you, there is a sense of respect that develops. Listening to and seeing the merits of your work. So thanks again, and those of you who have joined in, you have gained something, and those who have chosen to stay away would have lost something. I mean, that's the moral of the story. We have also with us architect Iqbal, who is the guide along with Amir for that particular studio. He is a product of Mangat College of Engineering, Hassan, and he is also he has done considerable work. He's a private practitioner. Iqbal, I would like you to share some of your views on what Vivek presented here. Please go ahead.
Sir, initially you went with the lotus form. You are able to hear me, sir? Yeah.
We can hear you.
Yeah. Then,
I can. Can you hear me?
It's a pure circle actually.
Yeah.
Now my concern is, my question is there any like idea about the direction or in terms like it's a hearing center also? So are they looking at any directional in terms of placement or in terms of planning? No, nothing. You're not even
not
building direction
really.
also. So that way.
Yeah. See, when you talked about the, am I audible?
Yes,
Am I
yes, sir.
Okay, it's like this. If you look at the circle closely, we have got 8 segments. Okay. If you go into that and read a little bit more deeper, then they talk about the 8 petals of the lotus. Okay. So we worked on that concept actually. So we have 8 segments within the circle, right? So, and also one more thing is, we did not go very strongly into Vastu principles on the design unless and until the client feels that they want to bring in those kind of subjects in. Okay, but we are willing to accommodate. The thing is, Vastu is so it's like a seed. That if once planted, will tend to grow inside of you. So uh, might as well address those issues for them, for their own happiness. But we do look at the orientation of the east, west, north, south, wind directions. All that, yes, we do put into use in our design. Now, actually, uh, if you look at the two concentric circles, the blocks between the two concentric circles are actually slightly off grid. The idea was that, to get that continuous vista right to the center, the alignment of the blocks in the central grid and the alignment of the blocks in the external grid is different. So we intentionally did that because we wanted the building on the outer grid to look through the gap of the central grid between the two blocks. So, we just kind of really thought about it. So, what I should say is, even to students of architecture, is when you design a building, walk the space. You walk the space. You visualize yourself. That's why I'm saying before you digitize your drawings, visualize the space. You have a design, you put a sketch in forward, or you put a basic preliminary drawings in forward. Walk through those spaces. Now, when I say walk through the spaces, like emotions, are plenty. Like huge ceilings, good sunlight, water falling, uh, the nice aroma of the garden. All these things are things that touches your senses and brings about certain emotional reactions in you. If you're able to bring about a positive emotional reaction in your design, it's a successful design, no matter what it be. Like a simple thing that I practice is when I design a house, it is very clear to me that the first space from outdoor to indoor, that transition, if that space gives you a positive feel, then the entire design is a positive experience. But if that first space is a negative experience, then I think whatever you do on the inside is always, you will come out to the negative experience. So you always think it to be negative. You will go back with a negative experience. If the experience is positive, you go inside, and when you go out, also you get the positive experience. So there are certain things that we try to play with because at the end of it, it really works. So Vastu is there. We do implement it if people are very adamant on it. But predominantly, we look at the north, south, east, west, and if we can also look at ventilation, lighting. That's more important for us.
So actually, I didn't want to intentionally not highlight Vastu actually, but
Uh,
the elements of Vastu, maybe like maybe like for meditation, looking at the direction of sun or anything like that.
no, not
So,
really, not really. Actually, if you remember my first option that I gave, if you remember the first option, I had the design of the buildings along the elliptical circle, and the central area was the raised podium where the Vivekananda statue was mounted, and then you would walk down a ramp to the rear end. There, I had thought of everybody coming out to do yoga, looking at the eastern sun.
okay.
You know, there I felt from that point of in that design I had that thought process what you're talking about,
Hmm.
looking towards the east and doing a yoga, surya namaskar and things.
Okay.
But subsequently, when this design was preferred for varied reasons, that never could have happened in this design of mine. It had to go into sheltered spaces.
Okay. So one more question, sir. Like you have taken so Latin as a very strong element, actually, both inside out. Generally, what happens is like, people try to do a just a exterior. They try to do it out of Latin actually. But here, because you have tried both inside outside, it's a major challenge. Like taking like running the services, maybe electrification, all those things. Like
No, no, no. Good question, Iqbal. If you go to the
yeah,
complex, in fact, Ashok, if it's possible, please, I can make arrangements for the students to go there and all of you to go there and experience the space because I have just given you a 2D and a 3D, which is very, what should I say, on a flat screen or, you know, But if you want to really experience the size, the scale, the proportion, you have to visit the place. So I'm more than happy to talk to the management, and if you let me know a time and date, they are willing to take. They will welcome you there. Coming back to your this thing, actually, all the insides of the buildings are plastered.
Okay,
Your
okay.
question is right, because there's no way to handle the services. You have
Hmm.
to chase the walls. All
No,
the walls plastered inside.
but some views I saw it's inside
No,
also like
yeah, yeah. That is basically, let's say, the corridors,
okay.
sheltered corridors, not inside. Now, for example, I had a huge auditorium. The backdrop wall of the auditorium doesn't require much of electrical points, so I left it exposed with some bit of plastering. But all the rooms, accommodation rooms, all the
Hmm.
treatment facilities, all plastered on the inside. I didn't want to do cladding.
Any
I
of
didn't want to do cladding. Nothing. No.
any students wanting any questions, please refer them. Please feel free to ask. You can also put them in the chat if necessary. I think Amir can read out the questions. But to save time, it's best that you shoot off questions directly so that.
I mean, you can ask. Please feel free. Don't feel shy. I have no issues. I am also a student. Every day is a learning for me. So, in fact,
Uh,
today was a learning for me to try and work out all this Google Meet talk and all this video integration, all that. So I learned something today. So
uh,
I came out of my comfort zone. I was sitting and talking to my junior architects. In fact, a trainee from one of the colleges, he seems to be the master of this, and he just kind of click of buttons, setting everything right for me. Then I sat with him, I rehearsed with him once or twice. So I learned something today because of this. There's nothing to be ashamed of. Come outside that comfort zone, or come outside that barrier and talk, ask. Please feel free.
Vishnu, Vishnu is his Vivek's son also. So,
Second one, yeah.
and his son is, I think, in same year,
No, my
third year at PIT,
older son is getting into his fourth year. Yeah, yeah,
fourth year. He is in architecture program at VIT, Vellore.
yeah.
Guys, feel free to ask. I mean, you won't get opportunities like this. Najid, you got any questions?
Yeah, if not now, then I'll come there and ask. You can ask the question. Someday I'll come. I'll make it a point to visit your college.
Incidentally, Iqbal stays close to Saligrama. He's at Kundapur.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
he's
That's nice.
so I think he'll be the guide for the students to actually take them there and spend some time. He
Please
could
do.
possibly do that, but I think we'll have to first assemble and back at the college for that to happen.
Yeah, yeah.
In fact, we had students who came in from Jamia Millia Islamia from Delhi. So they visited Kundapur. In Kundapur, there is again a mosque which has been done by a promoter. It's a green mosque, basically, and Iqbal has happened to work as the local architect for that particular mosque.
Very good.
So we took them there, and the students were invited to college. So we had a joint session with them, and
Fantastic.
so it is part of their educational tour. So
Right.
each year they take up different geographical locations. One year it could be coastal areas. Next year it could be mountains. Third thing it could be some plains. So they have a fixed tour program like that.
Okay.
So when they were here, we spent time with them. Yeah, guys, don't waste time. If people have Rava, you have any questions?
Guys, please ask question. Today you have a good opportunity. Today you can ask to Vivek sir, and tomorrow and day after tomorrow you have two answers on your discussion.
Is that the reason they're not asking me today?
You will miss this opportunity.
Today you have the chance to open
Absolutely
your
not. Just
tomorrow you have to open your ears.
No,
Prabha, please go ahead. Any questions?
I think for tomorrow's presentation, you can touch on things that is, what you feel, if you have felt something that I've said is very important in today's presentation, or some design intent that I had. I think you can also think on those terms and prepare yourself for tomorrow's presentation. Uh, Coming to tomorrow's presentation, is it the right forum to ask the question, Ashok? I'd like to know.
Um, um, I didn't get your question. So the pattern would be that role-wise, each one comes forth. They would have been set a certain time by Amir. They would they would make their presentations, and then you can respond with your observations. So
Right.
before the session starts, I think the project will be introduced either by Amir or Iqbal.
It
So
is.
you have an idea, or even at the end of today's session, they can brief you after other people exit out and explain you what the project entails. So when tomorrow when students come, you have them making their presentations, and
Right.
thereafter this is not the final one, so based on your input they got time to go back and improve their design, or because we have programs ends sometimes in mid January, so they still have a little bit of time to get back on that. So uh, please go in a certain systematic manner that I'm referring to Amit, that prescribed time, and go according to the roll numbers,
Yes,
and run it through. I think it should end within the prescribed time that is set for the entire exercise.
yeah, sure, sir.
The requirements has been laid out clearly to them in terms of the number of rooms and all those things. I mean, are we talking about the same requirements, or the requirements will vary between designs?
Sir, we gave requirement that is what design brief I sent you.
Correct.
Along with that design brief, requirements are also mentioned there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so same requirement we gave to our students.
Hmm.
Yes, sir.
Fine. Okay. Because I just want to know, I'm gauging the project on a certain level of understanding by the students. And they have to, yeah, I don't want, is it like everybody's design is going to be very different from each other? Then it becomes a situation. There has to be certain kind of a broad guidelines onto which they should fall.
Yes,
So I
sir.
just want to check on that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tomorrow we start at 1 o'clock, right?
Yes, sir. 1 o'clock.
Fine. Fine. I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, thank you everyone
Yeah.
of you for being here with us today. And I would like to thank our principal, architect Ashok Mehrotra sir, and architect Iqbal sir, and a special thanks to architect Vivek sir, uh, he gave us his precious time, and
Most welcome. I'm
yeah,
happy.
thank you again. Thank you again.
Thank you. Good day,
Okay.
everybody.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Students